Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one. The introduction. As the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, southeast Portland settled into an uneasy stillness. The streets, usually vibrant and alive, now cast long shadows under the flickering glow of the streetlight. It was here, on a nondescript block off Southeast 27th Avenue, that 10-year-old Emma Ryder would vanish, leaving an imprint of fear and despair that would linger in the community for years to come. Emma was last seen playing hopscotch with her friends outside her apartment complex, her laughter ringing out like a siren in the still air. The sun had begun its descent, pouring golden light over the concrete, but she hadn't returned home for dinner. By dusk, her parents, concerned yet hopeful, began shouting her name, their voices mixing with the increasing backdrop of cicadas singing in unison. Stark contrast to the growing pangs of doubt in their heart. As night shrouded the neighborhood, fear took root. Neighbors joined the search, flashlight beams slicing through the darkness like desperate pleas cutting through the air. Each corner turned, each empty alley echoed a chilling reminder that sometimes innocence is fleeting, and the shadows can hide both secrets and predators. Emma, it seemed, had stepped into a void, her existence flickering like the dying streetlight overhead. This would be the igniting spark of a community's collective nightmare. The investigation that would follow would reveal the dark underbelly of this outwardly benign neighborhood, keeping hearts and minds wrapped in the grip of an unspeakable dread. As perspective shifted and revelations emerged, the journey to find Emma would not just explore the boundaries of loss, but would question the very fabric of trust embedded in the lives of those left behind. The victim, Emma Ryder, was more than just a name scratched into a police report. She was a vibrant spirit in a world fraught with troubles. At just 10 years old, she possessed an undeniable brightness that illuminated the lives of those around her. With wavy chestnut hair that danced around her shoulders and a series of freckles that adorned her sun-kissed cheeks, she reminded many of a carefree summer day, a time when laughter reigned and problems felt far away. Her family moved to Southeast Portland 2 years prior after her mother found a new job at a local bakery. Emma embraced the change, quickly making friends in the tight-knit community. Every day after school, she would bound into the playground, her energy infectious as she played tag with her friends or twirled in the sunlight, completely unaware of the shadows lurking just beyond her carefree spirit. But like many children her age, Emma was adventurous, with a curious mind that sometimes ventured into precarious situations. She often wandered off with her friends to explore the nearby woods, building fairy houses in the hollowed trunks of trees, or collecting stones they fancied. Those innocent adventures, however, were accompanied by a trusting naivety, a sense of security in her environment that would ultimately become her peril. As the investigation unfolded, Emma's personality began to shine through the cold facts of her disappearance. Friends and family painted a picture of a girl full of hopes and dreams. She aspired to be a veterinarian, often creating elaborate drawings of animals with whimsical tales that accompanied each sketch. Those dreams were now reduced to echoes of what was lost, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. Each detail unraveled about Emma would show not just a victim, but a profound loss that expanded the conversations within the community of realization that vulnerability existed even in the warmest of places. The crime scene. The soft hum of morning cicadas filled the air as the wide-eyed community gathered. thick tension clouding the atmosphere. Just 24 hours after Emma's disappearance, a knot of apprehension gripped the heart of southeast Portland, drawing law enforcement and residents into an inexorable search for the missing girl. That fateful morning, the first breakthrough appeared at a nearby wooded area, a place Emma often explored with her friends. As searchers trekked through the dense underbrush, the forest's serenity was juxtaposed with an undercurrent of foreboding. A shattered branch here, a displaced stone near the forest, seemed to whisper secrets hidden within its depths. Detective Sarah Hanley, seasoned yet visibly shaken, led the team attempting to reconstruct the last known moments of Emma's life. As they combed through the undergrowth, the familiar sounds of laughter from children playing faded into an oppressive silence. It was here, deep within the tangled foliage, that they found a child's pink hair clip, a small, innocuous item, yet potent with significance. It served as a chilling beacon, igniting a flurry of emotions among the searchers. The area, a serene backdrop mere days prior, took on a haunting quality. Filled with reminders of innocence lost, dust motes danced in the light filtering through the trees. But the beauty of the scene belied the dark energy swirling around it. Each investigator noted the delicate branches adorned with spider webs, their glistening strands hinting at the rare beauty the woods could offer, but now felt ominous, concealing treachery within their grasp. In the coming hours, the anxiety would mount, lacing the air with an adrenaline-driven urgency. Little did they know that the truth would often be lurking in the shadows, where the sun could barely reach. The chilling reality of the disappearance was beginning to crystallize, grim uncertainty tightening its grip on the tight community. The early investigation. As the sun rose on the second day since Emma's disappearance, the air felt heavy with unspoken fear and unresolved questions. Detective Sarah Hanley stood before the thinned crowd of worried parents and anxious citizens, the weight of their expectant gazes palpable. With a deliberate calm, she urged the community to remain vigilant, to keep their eyes peeled for anything unusual, believing that someone must know something. But behind her reassuring words lay a gnawing anxiety: no leads, no suspects, no clear direction. Initial interviews with Emma's friends yielded fragmented accounts. They recalled snippets of laughter. The joy of childhood turned to hollow echoes. They spoke of a strange man watching them from a distance, an unshakable figure lingering near the park on those warm afternoons. This information, as alarming as it was, painted a picture too vague to latch onto. It felt as though each clue was another thread, unraveling, leading nowhere. Searching their collective memory, Emma's classmates described a man who usually wore a dark hoodie and sunglasses, possessing an aura of discomfort. Fascinated yet fearful, they recalled the way he seemed to loom, like a specter of mischief. Tips poured in, some promising and others absurd, as the social media pages lit up with fervent discussions, each finger pointing in a new direction, but none leading the police closer to closure. Back at the police precinct, the atmosphere was frenetic. Officers pored over maps of the area, creating a web of sightings and leads that danced ominously across the board. They examined the significance of the missing girl, but now the case was rapidly evolving into a complex puzzle. Roots of fear crept into the investigation, knowing that time was paramount. As the days stretched into a chaotic blur of leads and dead ends, a realization loomed. Whoever had taken Emma was a ghost among them, expertly eluding the community's grasp as they fought to protect their own. The early investigation marked the beginning of a race against time, one that would test the limits of hope in the eyes of those who loved her. The dead ends. Days turned into weeks, and the urgency of the investigation began to wane, overshadowed by a growing sense of despair. Detective Sarah Hanley stared at the wall of tips and leads that had rapidly accumulated, her stomach churning as she realized how little progress had been made. Each scrawl of information seemed to fade into a tangled mess of misdirected hopes leads that had fizzled into dead ends, whispers of sightings that evaporated into the mist of uncertainty. The once vibrant neighborhood had transformed into a claustrophobic cocoon of anxiety. Posters bearing Emma's beaming smile plastered the walls of coffee shops and convenience stores, becoming a constant reminder of the Innocence law. Candlelight vigils flickered with dim hope, yet the longer Emma remained missing, the more the community was consumed by grief and frustration. Detective Hanley found herself wrapped in a web of despair as she sifted through the countless interviews, cross-referencing alibis and digging deeper into the shadows of the neighborhood. The reports of the man in the hoodie who had been watching Emma and her friends led nowhere. Witnesses could not reliably recall what day it was, let alone provide a detailed description. Each thread of potential evidence unraveled, leaving Hanley grappling with an unsettling truth. Is there really a monster lurking in the night? Or had their fears been born from imagination? Every corner explored seemed to lead to the same place nothing concrete, only a town engulfed in grief and paranoia. The detectives expanded their search to other nearby cities, canvassing parks and vacant lots, reaching out to communities further afield in hopes of answering Emma's family's desperate pleas. Yet, with each passing day, the reality that they might never find the young girl bore down like an anvil on their hearts. As the investigation settled into a haunting rhythm of fruitless searches and unanswered questions, the faint sound of voices clinging to hope began to wane. In the shadows of their desperate pursuit, they braced for a truth that had yet to reveal itself, knowing that sometimes the most insidious monsters were not those that lurked in the dark, but those that had already slipped away into obscurity. A break in the case. Weeks stretched into heart-wrenching silence as the autumn leaves began to fall, each season marking another round of search parties and unanswered questions. Then, on a damp Tuesday morning, hope flickered back to life in the form of a phone call. Detective Sarah Hanley. It felt as if the weight of the world had lifted, if only momentarily. An anonymous tip had reached the precinct, an unsettling report of a suspicious vehicle parked near the overgrown trails of a nearby nature reserve. With a rising pulse and a flicker of determination, Hanley quickly assembled a team, their adrenaline surging as they set out to investigate this potential break in the case. The familiar climb of anxiety tugged at her as they drove to the secluded area whispered of in hushed Toniza Place, where few dared to tread alone. Arriving at the scene, the morning mist hung heavy, weaving a tapestry of tension that enveloped the trees. The officers split into teams, combing through the underbrush where the tipster claimed to have spotted what appeared to be abandoned belongings. Hanley's heart raced as she recalled Emma's enthusiasm for exploration. Could this be a pivotal moment? After an hour of searching, they stumbled upon a small, weather-worn backpack, half buried under Levisit's fabric, faded yet recognizable. Inside were remnants of a child's life, a beloved drawing Emma had made, showing her family's smiling faces surrounded by animals, alongside her favorite snacks still crumpled inside. This discovery ignited a torrent of emotions within Hanley, but it also solidified their need to act quickly. Nearby, another officer reported finding a wallet, the identification revealing it belonged to a local man with a checkered past. Flashes of memories ignited in Hanley's mind, stories she had been told during her investigations. This individual had drawn eyes for suspicious behavior around children in the neighborhood before. As the evidence began to stack up, the dawning realization settled upon the team of Thread, once concealed, now glimmering like a beacon in the darkness. It was the first real lead in weeks, igniting their determination to uncover the truth of Emma's whereabouts. The suspect. The air was thick with tension as Detective Sarah Hanley and her team pored over the findings from the nature reserve. The wallet, once a simple object of daily life, now bore the weight of suspicion. The name inside belonged to Lucas Granger, a local handyman with a photographic memory for the intricate details of the town, but also a history of unsettling encounters. Known for his charm, Granger had played both friend and foe in the neighborhood, his demeanor often straddling the lines of normalcy and discomfort. In the days that followed the discovery, Hanley dug into Granger's past, uncovering unsettling patterns. Multiple reports of public indecency and complaints about lurking near schools and parks. Each detail painted a picture of a man whose charm masked a perilous edge. The conversations at local watering holes painted him as something of a know-it-all who had a penchant for sharing too much about the children in the area, demonstrating an unsettling fixation on their lives. To dive deeper, Hanley arranged surveillance at Granger's residence. With her team positioned in unmarked vehicles, they observed his comings and goings, the quiet cadence of the ordinary concealing an undercurrent of dread. The late autumn leaves swirled in the gusty winds, while the scent of damp earth wafted through the air, echoing the gravity of their mission. As the hours blurred into evenings, the rotation of vehicles became a rhythmic presence. Each passing car, another piece in the puzzle. Then one fateful evening, Granger didn't return home. Instead, on a reported tip-off, his vehicle was found parked at a secluded area near the same woodlands where Emma had vanished, a haunting echo of the past. Inside, the officers unearthed items that sent chills down their spines. Child-sized clothing neatly folded in the trunk and handwritten notes detailing interactions with various local kids. With this newfound evidence, Hanley's heart raced. It felt as if they were touching the fabric of something greater than either want or need had imagined. The combination of evidence clicked into place, sending ripples of urgency through the airwaves and energizing the team for what lay ahead. As the investigation teetered on the brink of breaking wide open, the once hopeful smiles of the community now braced for the truth of what had long been hidden in the shadows. The trial. Months of investigation came to a head as the courtroom buzzed with palpable tension. The smell of polished wood and pressing anxiety permeated the air as families filled the benches, each heart beating to the same anxious rhythm of community, leaning into the hope that justice would dance on the edge of their fingertips. Lucas Granger sat stoically among the defendants, a calculated facade hiding the depths of turmoil rolling underneath the surface. Detective Sarah Hanley took her place among the witnesses, her heart racing with the weight of her testimony. The courtroom, a sanctuary of order masked by chaos, buzzed with anticipation. The jury listened intently as she recounted the horrifying discoveries of the investigation. Found backpack, the clothing, and the connection to Granger through a web of allegations that shocked the civilians uneasy in their seats. Each piece of evidence painted a visceral picture of a predator camouflaged within the safety of their neighborhood. gripping the audience in a shared nightmare. Survivors of similar stories sat in solemn silence, recalling the dark shadows of their own lives as they tapped their fingers on the wooden benches. A rhythm that played out like a countdown toward an uncertain conclusion. As the prosecution laid out their case, Granger's attorney hit back with a determined counterattack, calling witnesses to challenge the narrative, claiming circumstantial evidence, and labeling Granger a scapegoat for the community's fears. This turbulence only heightened the emotional stakes, as families of the victims felt the disbelief wash over them, turning hope into despair in an instant. The trial extended into days that felt like weeks, culminating in impassioned closing arguments that echoed off the courtroom walls. The jury's deliberation dragged on, every hour ticking away like an eternity. Emma's family waited patiently, hearts intertwined with fear and resolve, hoping desperately that the darkness would finally meet its reckoning. Finally, the moment arrived. The jury re-entered, solemn expressions etched on their faces, a mix of tension and expectation setting the atmosphere afire. As the foreman read the verdict, an agonizing silence enveloped the room, encapsulating the tears and tremors of a community begging for closure. In that moment, through the darkness, a flicker of hope emerged, waiting to guide them from the sorrow that had enveloped their lives. The aftermath. The verdict echoed through the courtroom, leaving a heavy stillness in its wake. The atmosphere that followed Granger's conviction was a haunting mix of relief and sorrow. Families filed out of the building, eyes shimmering with the weight of resolution yet burdened by the scars left behind. In the days that followed, the remnants of the case painted the community in shades of contemplation. What could have been done differently? What signs had gone unnoticed? For many, the trial had opened wounds that were still fresh with grief. Memories of Emma lingering like a ghost. They held on to the hope that justice could serve as a balm. Yet in the quiet moments, doubt crept in. What does justice really mean when it could never truly return what was lost? Detective Sarah Hanley reflected on the case as officer after officer offered their congratulations and shared in the bittersweet victory. Yet every time she closed her eyes, the image of Emma's smiling face swirled in her mind, reminding her of the innocence that had been torn away. Each testimony, every piece of evidence, had shattered something profound and irreplaceable. Even in closure, there remained a heaviness of realization that healing would take time, perhaps more time than anyone was prepared for. In a community still reeling from the ordeal, the local schools initiated programs and workshops designed to educate children about safety and awareness. Parents banded together, forging stronger bonds, united by the shared experience of fear and resilience. Fundraisers sprouted up to support Emma's family, with the unified efforts aiming to create scholarships in her name, ensuring her light would never be forgotten, transforming tragedy into a legacy of care. As time drew on, the effects of Emma's case became intertwined with the fabric of the neighborhood, shaping conversations that revolved around vigilance and community. The story of her disappearance and the subsequent hunt for justice would be passed down, not just as a cautionary tale, but as a testament to the power of community resiliency and narrative, woven with threads of hope amid the fabric of pain, stitching the lives of its people together in mutual understanding. Ultimately, it was a reminder that while darkness could strike without warning, it also allowed for light to shine through an unwavering companionship between loss and the strength found in remembrance, where each echo of laughter would ripple onward, gathering strength from the love left behind. Reflection. Seasons turned with a resolute march, and as winter cloaked southeast Portland in a soft blanket of snow, the memories of Emma Ryder remain tender yet sharp. The community, now knit tightly by shared sorrow, began to carve out new normals in their lives. Each face bore a hint of resilience, a silent acknowledgement that though darkness had invaded their space, the possibility of rebirth remained. Reflecting on the case, Detective Sarah Hanley felt the echoes of grief intertwining with the lessons learned. Guilt and sorrow lingered, but she also recognized the profound transformation that had occurred. The vigilance that followed Emma's disappearance had sparked a movement tone that rippled through the hearts of parents and children alike, urging openness about safety and fostering conversations once shrouded in fear. Every moment spent with the living became a tribute to what had been lost, each act of kindness a testament to the strength found beyond. Hanley often wandered past the park where Emma used to play, finding solace in the laughter of children carrying on, a gentle reminder of resilience blossoming in the heart of tragedy. Amid the pain, she saw hope crystallizing in understanding that remembering Emma would not only keep her spirit alive, but inspire others to cherish every fleeting moment. Through reflection, a sense of purpose emerged. The narrative surrounding Emma's case now extended beyond her disappearance. It would resonate with countless others facing similar battles, urging the world to listen, to act, to protect. Her story, etched in memory, was now a call to arms and invitation to love fiercely and embrace the fragility of innocence, ensuring that nothing would leave hearts untouched.